can hear me okay? Yeah? Yes, no? Yeah? Okay, perfect. Hi, everybody. My name is Ali. I'm a grateful alcoholic. I got stuck there. No man's. I was trying to mute. That's fun. First, I want to thank Gail. Hi, Gail. Hi, Gail. Hi, Catherine. Thank you all the service soldiers of this group. Appreciate you guys. I've been here, I think, a while ago, a couple of years ago, a year ago. I can't remember. Thank you for inviting me back. I appreciate what you guys do. You know, I was just looking at the screen. It's just like a sort of a grin because I've made so many friends in the last 3 years of this pandemic era. You know, what a blessing this Zoom, this online thing has been in my life anyways. It's just totally enhanced my recovery and my life. And it just goes to show me what at first, you know, when in the darkness of life, sometimes so long as my motive is to be a better person, to be a servant, God will give his little flimsy reeds and I'll see him and I'll grab him. And then he's going to bring a whole new world into view. I would have never met you guys if it wasn't for this pandemic darkness. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for generously giving of your day and your time to come here so we can fellowship together, so we can have a fellowship of the Spirit. It is going to be a one-way spiritual conversation, but it's still the energy that comes back is I absolutely feel it. I want to let you guys know that I'm not here to teach anybody anything, and I'm not here to tell you what to do. That's not my stake. That's not what I can't do that. I used to do that. It was very painful to Alcoholics Anonymous. So what I'm here to do is share my brokenness with you. I'm here to share the cracks with you. The gash in the armor, the bleeding heart, the mistakes, the fumbling and stumbling. Because see, I think the most important thing, in my opinion, so take it or leave it, I think one of the most important things to demonstrate to the newcomer is how God works in tough times as well. How God takes a broken toy like me and makes gold out of it. how God takes a mess like me and makes a message out of it. Now, when I say me, I mean all of us, you know, all of us in our own ways. I believe that God carries his water in broken pots. That's how we can drink from each other's souls, you know. No one's better than anyone else in Alcoholics Anonymous. So when the idea of when Gail was telling me a workshop, and I have to, first of all, the workshop makes me nervous because I'm not here to teach, right? And then that I have to come up with a question. I sat with it and I prayed. And what came to me was the third step decision. You know, what came to me was the third step decision. I was just praying and meditating, and I'm going to do something. I'm going to try to do something here in the next 20, 30 minutes that I don't usually do when I get an opportunity to serve in this way. I don't usually go line by line through the big book. I don't refer to it much. You know, I am a big book guy. But I don't ever want to come across as teachy. So that's why I don't do that. I sort of do this a little bit with a man that I sponsor. I newly take them through the big book. You know, we go line by line. But this third step is so rich and juicy. And the big book does such a beautiful job. Everything in this big book is so deep, right? The third step, before I knew what the big book was talking about, before somebody actually took me through the third step pages, I thought it was a prayer and that's it. I say a prayer and we move on. I didn't realize that there was so much more than that, you know, just like everything else in this big book. What seems like this book is a couple of inches thick, right? But when somebody opens it up and pours their experience on it, it becomes thousands of kilometers deep. That's just like the third step pages in this big book for me. The third step decision, that's a deep decision for me. Like if anybody has the book and they want to follow on with me, I may have referred to the big book, that's perfectly fine. If you don't, that's perfectly fine too, okay? So what came in my heart is I'm going to share today a little bit going to the big book, perhaps for the newer person, okay? So I know there are people in this meeting that could do so much of a better job than me going through the big book and unpacking it, okay? So I'm not here to compete with anybody. But what came in my heart is that I'm going to share for the new person or the person that perhaps has never taken a deep look at the third step pages in the big book. That's all, okay? Everyone else, take it or leave it, man, okay? I'm here for them. So the third step decision, bottom of page 62. There is a decision that I got to make before even doing the third step prayer. At the bottom of page 62, I'm going to put on my glasses because I'm getting old and my eyesight's going. It says 2-3 lines before the start of the last paragraph. It says, neither could we reduce our self-centeredness much by wishing or trying on our own power. We had to have God's help. I got to have God's help in this third step decision. Now, this is the how and why of it. So how do I do the third step? How do I have a God, get God's help? What is the third step? What is the third step? Oh my God, my brain is going here. Exact wording. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over the care of God as we understood him. How? Just what do you mean by that? Just what do I do? Well, this is the how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. That's how. I got to quit playing God. I got to stop arguing with reality. Anytime I disagree with what's happening in my life, I don't like the way she's treating me. Why are they not promoting me? Why is this old timer and Alcoholics Anonymous not talking about the big book? Why is that group voting that way? Anytime why is this depression coming to me still? Anytime I'm disagreeing with reality, I'm playing God in my life. I got to quit playing God. That's the how of it. How I got to quit playing God. It says the why of it. Why? Because it didn't work. Simple as that. I got to quit playing God. I got to stop assigning God a role, assigning every one of his other kids roles. I got to stay in my lane, be the actor, not the director, and quit playing him. Why? Not because I'm a bad person, it doesn't work. Very logical. It doesn't work. I have ample evidence in my life that it hasn't worked. Next, we decided that hereafter, in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. They give me 3 relationships here that I have to approach this entity with, that I don't understand, that I cannot comprehend, that maybe I even have evidence in my life when I'm approaching it for the first time, that much evidence in my life of the existence of. And the three relationships are one as a director, one as a principal, one as a father. Next, we decided that hereafter, in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. He's the principal, we are his agents. He's the father, and we are his children. Director. Earlier on, the big book talks about how I'm like the actor. On the movie set, the director is the boss. What the actor does is memorizes some lines and creates a believable character. That is it. But I, in my life, I am the director who wants to write everyone else's lines. I'm the actor who wants to be the director. I want to tell all the actors what to do. My wife should treat me like this. This newcomer should share this way at a meeting. Why is my boss not paying me the raise that I deserve? I want to arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenery. I want to be the director. I'm the actor who wants to act like a director, who becomes a producer of confusion in my life and everybody else's. I got to stop doing that. And it's not even telling me that I got to do it perfectly. I just got to make a decision to. Just the desire in my heart that, man, it's just not working. I'm destroying my life sober. And I've done that. My life sober, sponsoring people in this program, praying, meditating, speaking, destroying my life sober. Because I forgot. I thought I'm the director. At the end, I'm going to show you. These pages are the only page. My big book is used. These are the only pages that are ripped up. There's a reason for that. I see myself in these pages often. There's a reason for that. He's the principal, we are his agents. He's the principal, okay? Everyone, I don't watch basketball much, but everybody knows Michael Jordan, right? He was a big basketball player. Michael Jordan is a principal. He gets an agent to represent him. This agent gets to go get endorsements deals for him, gets to sign contracts for him, right? Negotiate contracts for him, right? So I'm going to start looking at God, make a decision in this relationship. I'm going to stop playing him, first of all. I'm going to look at him as the principal. As the principal, he's going to empower me to do his work. Just like Michael Jordan will empower his agents to negotiate contracts for him. So I look for assignments from God. And see, on the same note there, imagine if this agent of Michael Jordan's would go around town sleeping with people's wives and drinking and punching out people. What's going to happen to that relationship? Eventually it's going to get severed, right? There's not going to be much of a relationship. So in addition to getting assignments from God, allowing him to empower me to do his work, I got to represent him out there. I got to walk godly. Step 12, second half is step 12, practice principles in my affairs, right? Again, not perfectly, just make a decision. I'm going to start looking at God this way. That's a big, deep decision in the third step. It's not just a quick prayer and go. He's the father and we are his children. There's another concept. I know it's a religious concept, but let's just set that aside if you have something against that. Just set it aside. Let's set aside. See, in order for me to have a new experience in my life, in order for me to have a deep experience, I have learned that I have to set aside everything that I think I know. If I want a fresh cup of coffee, I'm not going to take a full cup of coffee to the freshly brewed pot of coffee and pour it on top. It doesn't make sense. I'm not going to take yesterday's coffee there. I'm not going to get new coffee. What I'm going to do is empty the cup, wash it out, take an empty cup to this pot because I want fresh new coffee. So that's the way I approach the spiritual principle, spiritual work. That's what I've been taught. I got to set aside everything. Everybody knows about the set aside prayer, many versions of it. God, please set aside everything I think I know about these steps about you and this program, God. Please set aside everything that I've experienced that I think I know. And please fill my heart with a new experience, God. See, when I come to God, bended knee, broken, humble, empty of my ideas, I get filled up. Okay, so this idea of a father and a child, right? He's the father, we're the children. My son Darius, if he were to ask me, he's 9 years old, okay? If Darius was to ask me to get him something that he needed, and I knew he needed it, and it would make him happy, I would dig the earth with my teeth to give it to him. My son Darius, if somebody would have came to me with a hypothetical situation, okay, I'm just trying to prove a point, just a silly situation, right? That you got to dive off this bridge head first and your son lives. Wouldn't think twice about it. I'm going. That's the kind of relationship I have with God. That's the kind of God that I want to build a relationship with. That's what the big book is inviting me to approach this entity with, that he's the father. So I got to ask him. I pray. I pray a lot, man. Left and right, open door, closed door, the sales meeting before sales meeting, Tim Horton lines for coffee, I'm always praying. God, remove me of this selfishness. Show me what my assignment is, God. Can you, God, I'm a little bit afraid here, God. Can you come with me in this meeting? I want to do your will, God. He's the father, we're his children. There's another layer to that. See, he's the father, I ask him, right? And when I need, he's going to provide for me. He's never failed me, not one time. See, my son Darius, his personality and his looks are more like mine than any of you guys. He's made of me. He's made of my body, my spirit, right? So the same way with God. If I'm his child, then he's not some entity up there and I feel separate from him. I'm a part of God. I'm not the ocean of God, but I'm a wave in the ocean of God. I'm from his makeup, spiritually, metaphorically speaking. Yumi says, you're not a drop in the ocean. You're an ocean in a drop. That's what I got to start to consider with this relationship with God. And another layer to that father-child relationship is, you know what it says here? We are his children. We. So if I really get present to that, we are his children, then he has no grandkids. Then I'm no closer to him, no special than him. As special as I am to him, her, it, whatever, I'm no more special than you. If we are his children, then all of you are my spiritual brothers and sisters. If we are his children and he's in you and inside of me, deep down within every man, woman, and child, then when I feel separated from you by my judgment of you, I'm separate from God. I'm separate from God. Isn't it beautiful how this spirit has packaged these 12 steps and this beautiful book for us in a way that we can digest it? I mean, all of us know many amazing, beautiful, religious and spiritual paths that some of us follow along with the program, right? Yet, God saw fit to package a little bit of all those paths in a book and a set of 12 steps that I can digest. And in order for me to get close to him, he has a setup that I got to be close to you. I got to be rid of my resentments. I got to see you as my spiritual brothers and sisters. I got to make amends when I've harmed people. I got to pray and meditate and cultivate and deepen a relationship with this loving God, with this inner resource, in order to be a servant in the 12th step to you, to the hurting man or woman. Practice principles on my affairs, to everybody in my life. Isn't that beautiful? We are his children. That's deep. This paragraph is like, so this third step decision is just, whew, you know what I mean? And I had no idea. I had no idea. It says most good ideas are simple. And this concept was a keystone of the new and triumphant arc to which we pass to freedom. From this simple idea, just because it's complicated doesn't mean it's spiritual. Most good ideas are simple program of action. Simple program of action. And this idea of these three relationships with God that I'm going to approach His power with, approach His work with, are the concepts of a keystone through which I'm going to walk to freedom. Freedom, man. Today I'm free. Most of the time. Not free of you. You can be however you want to be. Most of the time I'm free of me, of my ideas, of my attachments. And the times that I'm not, I'm so grateful for them. I'm so grateful for them. The times that I act up, I'm so grateful for them because they cause enough pain in me that I just want to lean into God more. I want to come back to the table with them broken, on my knees, head on the floor like a Muslim. I'm not even a practicing Muslim. God help me. God help me. That third step decision, and then they introduced me to another one. What they say is that when we sincerely took such a position, that three relationship position, all sorts of remarkable things follow. We had a new employer. Here's a fourth relationship with God. Fourth concept of a relationship, employer. Being all powerful, He provided what we needed if we kept close to Him and performed His work well. I have a new employer. My job right now, the boss is not my employer. Every single job that I've had no experience with, in order to get, I had no experience to be at that job, no education to be at that job. The last few years of sobriety, that God took me from place to place to place to place. Well, He showed me that you're not there to build a bank account. You're not there to look good in front of people. You're there to represent me. I have a new employer. There's been times where I haven't had much money. I've been afraid of it. I didn't know how I'm going to support a family. A new baby, can't pay the bills. Me and Apsy fighting all the time before, feeling like a loser, feel like I'm not enough, I'm not a man. I get menial job, what do they call them? They barely pay, right? Depression that followed that. Man, the pain served a purpose. Man, that depression always serves a purpose. Man, the brokenness is what God makes gold out of, He has shown me that He's the employer, time after time after time. He's put me in positions where I get to be of service to one of His kids. Every single job, I've grown spiritually. I've become a better person spiritually. Bills are always paid. See, I start to, instead of building a relationship, continue to cultivate and build a relationship with the ocean of God. This ocean, this sea, this vast universe of God. This disease of alcoholism fools me. It lulls me into a sleep, into a delusion. And I start to worship the little rivers that come out of the ocean. The little rivers, these little jobs and careers. I start to worship them. And when I start to worship them, I'm afraid. I'm afraid what the boss thinks. I want to throw people on the bus. I want to make sure that they're giving me credit for what I've done. I'm making money, I'm gonna have a fear of financial insecurity. I'm not making money, I'm a fear of financial insecurity. Insane, man. So what these steps do, what this third step, along with the rest of it, and you beautiful, what you do is you continuously, as I pour my heart out to you, you share your experience with me and you point me to the ocean again. Metaphorically speaking, you remind me that He's the employer. Do you think God's gonna run out of abundance, Sally? Do you think God's gonna run out of money? How about you just continue to stay close to Him and perform His work well? Let Him take care of the details of your life. And that's what He's done for me. That's what He's done for me. And then it gives us some promises, and it goes to the third step prayer on page 63, the middle paragraph there. Now we are at step 3. God, I offer myself to Thee, to build with me and to do with me as Thou wilt. Once in a while, if you have a problem with the these and the thous, I just replace it with you and yours, right? It just makes me digest it. It doesn't matter. God doesn't care. As long as I voice the idea, it really doesn't matter how I say the prayer, right? God, I'm going to give myself to You, to build with me, to do with you, whatever You want, God. That means this is deep. This is deep, man. This third step shouldn't be taken lightly, and people shouldn't be coerced and forced into taking it. When I say, please forgive me, okay? When I get excited, like when I say shouldn't, I mean, I used to do that. I stopped doing that because it didn't work. Okay? Not you, me, okay? I used to force people through this, you know what I mean? Just keep, oh man, when they clearly shown that they're not at the third step. Build with me, do with me as thou wilt. That means where I live, whether in a park bench, in a penthouse, in Ontario housing, that's government housing here in this house here, or in a room which I was renting 5 years ago, and I separated from my wife because I thought she was the problem, dying in that room sober, sponsoring people, wanting to take my own life, wanting to drink. Where I live, none of my business. That's your business. Who I'm married to, if I'm married to Afsi or not, if I'm dating anyone or not, none of my business, yours. Where I'm working, a soup kitchen, CEO of a company, none of my business. You do with me whatever you want. Relieve me of the bondage of self, my ideas, my attachments, my need for approval, my self-righteousness, my judgment. These are my character defects that come out in spades sometimes. Relieve me of the bondage of self. Why? It doesn't follow by so I can be happy jumping for joy. I don't see it here. I don't see it. I don't see that so I can be a rich businessman. So I can be a circus speaker, speaking all around the world, getting acknowledged. I don't see none of that stuff here. You know what I see? That I may better do thy will. Ain't that interesting? Talia, I love you. I just saw you. I love you. Thank you for shaking your head. Yeah. You can relate. Beautiful. That's awesome. That I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties. Can't find a job. Depressed. Can't support a family. My attachments to it. My ideas that I'm not a real man. The depression. The troubles with the wife. Take away my difficulties and my need to change other people. Take away this and these character defects. Why? So that I can be happy? No, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help. There's a condition here, eh? Take away my difficulties, God, if you see fit. But most of them are within myself, by the way. They're not external. 99.99% of them are within myself, right? Take away my difficulties so that as I become victorious over them, I will bear witness. People can see through me about your light, your love, and your power. Because the condition is I'm going to be helping your kids. My life is not my own anymore. That's a third step. That's deep, man. Not to be taken lightly. That's deep. My life is not mine anymore. I give up. I ruined it. Sober, I did. Never mind drunk. I'm going to give it to you. Build with me whatever you want. I'm going to make a promise, God. I am going to help your kids. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm just going to help your kids. Broken, cracked, making mistakes, fumbling, stumbling, looking ugly, and I've done it. And you take care of the details of my life. Because I'm going to become a channel, the St. Francis prayer says. This love, how am I going to bear witness to your power, your love, and your way of life? Because I'm going to become a channel. And like a channel that's connected to a well and clean water comes through to feed the villagers, I'm going to be that channel. I can't keep your love. It's got to go through me into the lives of others. I can't keep your power. It's got to go through me into the lives of others. And I just get nourished as it goes through me. That's a deep decision. That's a deep prayer not to be taken lightly. In fact, it's so deep, they want you to, this big book wants me to consider it so much. I'm not saying spend months on the third step. That's not what I'm saying, but it's got to be a depth to this, right? That it says we thought well before taking this step, making sure we were ready. That we could at last abandon ourselves utterly to him. When the man that I get the honor of, the gifts of my life, that I get the honor of helping through this big book, when we get to here and they want to jump at the third step, I say, hold on. We thought, well, I would like you to please take a day and pray and sit with it. See if you really want to do this. Because if you really want to do this, it's happened to me. I come from a lineage I come from a bunch of teachers that they renew their commitment to the first 9 proposals once a year. Okay, that's just what my experience is, right? So once a year, when I renew my commitment to this, I have to think, well. So I tell the new man, you know what's happened to me when I've renewed my commitment to the third step as I'm going through 1 through 9 once a year? You know what happens to me? Sometimes it feels like this. It feels like I have a chessboard here and I just flip it up and all the pieces land all over the place. Sometimes I've committed to this and I've lost jobs and depression has come visiting me. I can't get out of bed for a month. Are you willing to do that? Are you sure? I don't want to coerce you. But I don't want to leave it there, though. I don't want to scare them. I also talk about the promises, right? But I also share with them that, look, but I'll tell you what, every time he has shown me, page 63, 3-4 lines down, established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs. More and more, we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. As we felt new power flowing, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence. Whew. We began to lose our fear of today, of tomorrow, of here or the hereafter. We are reborn. This beautiful program you guys introduced me to has allowed me to be reborn over and over and over and over on the spiritual path of progress. Reborn, where the valleys of life sometimes make me feel like I'm drowning, man, that I'm in a coffin, that is the darkness of the tomb. And you guys show me, this power shows me, man, this darkness is the darkness of the womb. Clean house, trust God, help others, get reborn. Reborn. Now, that's deep, no? Isn't that deep? Like, that is so deep, man. That is just these 2 paragraphs. But how can a new person or somebody recommitting to this work just come to this decision and thing? The big book is not set up like that for me to just come, first step, second step, third step, prayer, and go. Before I come to this decision and come to this deep prayer and make a commitment, this prayer is like an affirmation of the decision, right? Before I come to that, there is, if you go back from the bottom of page 60, there is a page and a half, 2 pages of considerations for me to look at, for me to get present to, that when Ali runs his life on his self-will, when I am in charge, when I am God, my life is destroyed. And then I can come to that decision. There's a page and a half of considerations to do before I reach a third step. You know, step 1, it says, having had this, no, that's not step. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, dash, that our life is unmanageable, dash, that our life are unmanageable. We all know that everybody's pretty clear, well, most people, the unmanageability, what it looks like. How does it manifest? Restless, irritable, discontent. How does it manifest? Page 52. Couldn't have good relationships, right? I'm butchering it right now. It couldn't seem to be happy, full of fear. Can't be a real help to other people. Can't make a living. That's how it manifests. But what are the actions that I do that leads to that spiritual, that restlessness, that unmanageability? Right here in these 2 pages. A, that we were alcoholic, could not manage our lives. Alcoholism. Yes, I have it. 50-something pages before this for me to see that in me, right? Physical allergy, mental obsession. B, that probably no human power could have relieved of our alcoholism. Not step 2, an extension of step 1. I don't have the power to relieve myself of my alcoholism. My wife, girlfriends, schools, teachers, courts, jails, university professors, policemen don't have the power. Oh. See, that God and could if he were sought. That's the second step. It's another way to say the second step. Came to believe that a power greater than me, that God could and would relieve me to return me to sanity, if he could. And then look what it says, being convinced. So I got to be convinced of A and B and C. 1, extension of 1, step 2. Now I'm at step 3, which is that we decided that we turn our life, will and life over to the care of God as we understood him. Just what do we mean by that, and just what do we do? Well, the answer to that question was in the last paragraph of page 62, where we talked about the decision. I got to quit playing God. It didn't work. He's the director. He's the principal. He's the father. That's the answer to it, right? But before I get to that, look what it says. The first requirement I had no idea there was a requirement before I even considered taking the third. That means it's a must. It's needed. Cannot do third step without it. I can do it, but I won't get the depth of it. The first requirement is that we be convinced that Ali, by the way, what I was taught, what I do with the man that I sponsor, these next 3 pages, I take all the third person pronouns. I know my grammar is not that good, like a he and she's, and I turn it to first person. I. Okay, so it reads like this. The first requirement is that I be convinced that any life run on my self-will can hardly be a success. I got to be convinced of that before I give my life over the care of something I can't even understand, see, feel, and taste or touch. I got to be convinced that I am destroying my life. On that basis, we are almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good. Each person, so I am like an actor who wants to run the whole show. I'm forever trying to arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenery, and the rest of the players in my own way. If only my arrangements would stay put. If only people would do as I wish, the show would be great. Everybody, including me, would be pleased. Life would be wonderful. How arrogant of me. I want to run the show and run your life, tell you what to do. And I'm sure that if you do what I want, life will be wonderful. I got about 8 minutes left. I'm going to read a little bit and just give you guys an example. I wish I could read line by line, give examples, don't have enough time, okay? So, and I think it's important to read. In trying to make these arrangements, our actor may sometimes be quite virtuous. He may be kind, considerate, patient, generous, modest, even modest and self-sacrificing. On the other hand, he may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. But as with most humans, he's likely to have varied traits. This kindness, along with the meanness, all they are is tools in my self-will toolkit that I pull out when I try to get my way. I'll give you an example. Okay, so I started to a few years back. I got somebody in Alcoholics Anonymous, a beautiful, so got me a job in construction. I never worked in construction in union. Building roads. And this industry, I didn't know this, we have there's a lot of people that are fellow travelers of ours. Okay, either in the rooms or not in the rooms, or active out there, right? In this industry, it's not like the office world. They bark at each other. They yell at you, they swear at you. Everything is anger. Everything is anger, right? So these guys would they would start to yell at me and scream at me and just and I'm new, right? And I wouldn't reply. I wouldn't just calm, cool as a cucumber. Just nice, kind, thank you, no problem. I'll do it different next time. Thank you for showing me. Right? There was one time I made a mistake, not a big mistake. This guy gets out of the machine, the bulldozer he was in, and he wanted to fight me. He wanted to punch me out, like chest to chest, right? And I was calm, cool, man. Thank you very much. My apologies. I'm sorry that I did that. I'm sorry that I made your day harder. I'll try better next time, right? And I was patting myself on the back. I was going home like, you know what? Look at the spiritual growth you've had. Isn't that beautiful? You're a spiritual giant right now. I got to go tell people about this in AA, right? And then you know what happened? You know what happened? 2 days later, Ashley and I at that time were going at it once in a while, eh? You know how two people that are love and two people that are close to each other, you know, when we're both asleep spiritually and when we're both in the egos come up to dance, you know how we could just pour salt in each other's wounds the way we do sometimes, right? So her and I had a conversation. It was going bad, man, right? And all of a sudden I found myself like I wasn't going to touch her, right? Thank God for that. So I started to punch every picture frame upstairs in the living room there. My knuckles were bleeding. We cleaned everything up. She wiped my knuckles. You know, we did what we did, apologized to each other. And I sat and I sat and I started to cry. I'm like, God, you got to help me here, man. What's wrong with me? And I sat in silence and meditation and it came. So you think you're a spiritual guru, do you? You think you're walking in water at work when people are yelling at you, right? Because a few years ago, I would have punched the guy at work, right? Maybe you're not such a spiritual guru. Not that there isn't spiritual growth. Maybe there's more growth. Because see, how come you can't practice the same patience, tolerance, kindness at home? Oh, Do you know why? Because at work, self was afraid that they're gonna ostracize me. They're not gonna teach me. I'm gonna get fired. But at home, I've taken a spiritual, emotional hostage again in my wife because I know I have her love, so that I can go and act however I want. Woo! Talk about that, right? Sometimes, so I had to really take a deep look in these pages that am I not a self-seeker even when trying to be kind? Am I not a victim of the delusion that I can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world only if I manage well? Is it not evident to the rest of the players, everybody else out there, that these are the things I want? And do not my actions take each of them wish to retaliate, snatching all they can get out of the show? Am I Ali? Not even in my best moments when I'm in self-will, not when I'm with God, right? In my best moments, a producer of confusion rather than harmony. I am self-centered, egocentric. And the next paragraph says selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is a root of our troubles. That's a root of my problems. The drinking was the bad fruit. The root is I'm selfish and self-centered. I tried to knock off the fruit and go to Dubai and go to Iran and go to a different country and go to change my friends. I couldn't stop drinking. I tried to treat the symptom. You come and tell me, it's not the fruit, it's the roots. Selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is a root of my problem, that I think. Driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. Driven. You know what that says to me? That means I'm not in control. Sometimes I used to get up in the morning and it was like the fear car would pick me up and drive me, say, you sit in the passenger seat, I'm going to drive you all day. You're going to be afraid of what people think about you all day. Driven by 100 forms of fear, fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. I step on the toes of my fellows and they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt me seemingly without provocation. What did I do to you? I'm a nice guy. How could you hurt me? How could you leave me? But sometimes, what we invariably find that sometime in the past, I have made decisions based on self, which later put me in a position to be hurt. And I'm complaining about you. I was dating this girl before AFSI, long before AFSI, thought I was in love. She was a little bit flirtatious. Not doing anything, just flirtatious, right? Me, insecure, thinking I'm ugly on the outside and inside. Started to become jealous. I broke up with her one night. You know how, I don't know how you guys, how I used to do is like, I used to pretend to want to break up as a tool, you know, waiting for them to come back to me and beg it. This time she called my bullshit, right? She's like, okay. And the next morning I was so angry and pissed off, I went to her work and I threatened her life. Alcoholism, man. Driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, and self-pity. And I was pissed off at her. How dare she? Well, if I look back honestly, I could see that that first of all, I wasn't in a position to be in a relationship. The only reason I wanted to be with her was for a companionship and for sex. I didn't know how to love. My entire relationship was about me. Do for me, be nice to me, be kind to me, acknowledge me. So what do you think a broken person like me, wounded, without a solution, who do you think is going to attract? Another broken person. Why? Because I know they're prey. I know I can get away with stuff. I'm talking subconsciously, not even consciously. So then when the relationship like that blows up, because none of us know how to have a relationship, I'm pointing at her. I'm the one that made a decision based on self. What's in it for me? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? That later put me in a position to be hurt. Not her. I'm the one, man. These steps have made me responsible for in my life. So our troubles we think are basically of our own making. Not your making, my making. What an empowering line in the book. See, if my troubles are of your making, I'm dead in the water. There's 7 billion of you out there. If I'm waiting for every single one of you to change for me to be happy, I might as well kill myself now. My troubles are of my own making. And the alcoholic, Ali, is an extreme example of self-will run riot, though I usually don't think so. Above everything, I must be rid of selfishness. I must, or else it's going to kill me, and God makes that possible. And then I go into the decision, and then I go into some of the promise and the third step prayer. I hold my sponsor's hand, we kneel down, we pray this prayer. And if you're new, do you want to know what step the third step prayer looks like? The third step prayer looks like me writing a fourth step. The third step prayer is a decision. The third step prayer was a page and a half of considerations to realize that the third step is a page and a half in considerations to realize that me writing the show destroys my life. My life cannot be successful. It's a requirement for me to humble myself, to come to my creator with this decision. Then I'm going to look at him as my principal, as my director, as my teacher, as my father, as my employer, and I'm going to give my life to him. And I'm going to abandon myself utterly to him. This was only a beginning, though if honesty and humbly made an effect, sometimes a very great one was felt at once. Next, we launched out on a course of vigorous action. The first step of which is a personal house cleaning. And it says, though our decision in the third step, that's the last thing I'm done. It says our decision in the third step was vital and crucial step, it could have little permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and be rid of things in myself that are blocking me. Fourth step, fifth step, sixth step, right? The third step with legs on it, third step walking is the rest of the steps. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Love you guys.
Thank you, Ali. That was really brilliant. Thank you. So for the next